to the Who Dat Nation. Welcome to the Dome Patrol podcast, your podcast for the New Orleans Saints here on the KB Radio Network. I am your host, Kevin Reed, and week 15 is among us as our New Orleans Saints, who currently sit at 5-8 on the season so far, will host the Washington Commanders, who are 8-5 on the season so far. The New Orleans Saints are coming off of by the hair of your chinny chin chin victory against the New York Giants last week, where everybody was like, really? I mean, yeah, we got the victory, but my God, did we have to take this literally to the last second against one of the worst teams in football? But only the Saints. But it was a win nonetheless. And the way this season has gone thus far, we'll take it any way we can get it. So there you have that. The Saints and the Washington Commanders have met 28 times. Well, the Washington team. I think this is the first time the Saints have played the Commanders. Of course, we've played the football team and we've also played the Redskins. But I think this is our first go around going up against the Commanders, if memory serves correctly. But as far as the Washington team itself, this is the 28th time, and Washington holds a 17-11 advantage in that 28-game series. This dating back to 2003. 6 of the 9 games have been decided by 8 points or less. But the last 2 meetings, the Saints have won. And I think one was by 24 points. The other one was by 11 points. So those were better days. Those were better days. But I can remember back to 08. Was it 08 or 09? Was it that Super Bowl year? Or it could have been before. My memory is don't get old, people. Don't get old. But anyway, I do remember this game when the Saints played Washington, and we were in Washington, and that was the game Drew Brees had threw that pick, and defender was running back, and Robert Meacham came behind him and stripped it and ran it in for the touchdown. And we ended up winning that game. And that was like the craziest play. One of the craziest plays in Saints football history. I mean, it was an ugly pick, and old boy for Washington, he had clear sailing all the way to the end zone. I think the only thing between him and the end zone was Drew Brees, and I'm pretty sure he would have won that. And Robert Meacham just came behind him and just stripped the ball out and went the other way and scored the touchdown for the Saints. That was an epic play for New Orleans. The Saints are just 2 wins behind the first place Tampa Bay Buccaneers in the division. Tampa Bay is 7-6 so far this season. Pretty much steamrolling to week 18 when both of these teams lock horns. Will it be for the division? We'll have to see, but we have to take care of business this Sunday first. The Saints need to win 2 of their final 4 games to make it 19 straight seasons with 7+ wins consecutively. So this is currently the 4th longest streak in the NFL. And so you do have that to shoot for, I guess, if anything else. The Commanders are 8-5 and are 7th place in the playoff race in the NFC, coming off of their bye last week, and they won their last game 2 weeks ago when they beat the Tennessee Titans 42-19. Washington currently has a 1-game lead over the Rams for the final wild card spot, and we just saw the Rams last night. Was that Thursday Night Football? I don't know. I went to sleep on that game, I'll be honest with you, but I did find out the Rams did win that game. A crazy finish. I'm mad that I went to sleep on it, but they currently got that final playoff spot locked up if the playoffs were to start today. Um, we have some familiar faces that will be on the other side of the field. Uh, First and foremost, you have Jaden Daniels, the starting quarterback for the Washington Commanders. For everybody down here in Louisiana, LSU fans, Jaden Daniels, he's a Heisman Trophy winner for the LSU Tigers. One of the best quarterbacks to come out of LSU. He's the starting quarterback, and he's having a rookie of the year type year so far. He looks amazing over there in Washington. And on the other side of the ball, we are getting the debut, at least his debut as a Washington Commander, of a former great New Orleans Saints player, Marshawn Lattimore. Though we traded Marshawn Lattimore away right before the trade deadline this season. And man, that's one of those trades that it hurts, but at the same time, you're like, well, I get it. You know, it had to be done, to be honest with you, because the dude deserves better. He deserves better. And to be honest with you, Marshawn Lattimore, his health, him being on the field, it was starting to come into question here in New Orleans. That was the knock. Anything other than that, it really wasn't no knock. I mean, the dude did his job. He locked down a complete side of the field. If you don't believe me, ask Alante Taylor and Paulson Adebo, who catches the blues, you know, or caught the blues when he was here. Why? Because quarterbacks always went to their side because they didn't have anything on the other side due to Marshawn Lattimore. And he's missed. He is missed. Now, in the defense of our cornerbacks, I think Alante Taylor is doing a good job. Yeah, he'll give you a PI or two a game. Yes, he will. And Paulson Adebo, I don't want to speak ill will of him. He's out for the season with that, I think, broken leg or something. I know he's out for the season. But anyways, even before that, he was giving you a PI fest. So they were struggling a bit, but they're doing the best they could. But with all that being said, it's gonna be good to see Marshawn Lattimore back, albeit in a different uniform. But it's gonna be good to see him. It's really peculiar that this is the game that he's gonna debut with his new team. He's been there for what, about a month now. And so I know he was hurt. He was hurt when he was here, well, when he got traded. So, but yeah, they kept him on ice until this game. For obvious reasons. I don't blame him. But yeah, it's going to be a lot of emotion in the Dome this Sunday as the Saints take on the Commanders. On to some other news. We all know that the game last Sunday against the Giants, starting quarterback Derek Carr, he suffered a concussion as well as an injury to his left hand. You know, his non-throwing hand, but he injured it nonetheless. This will be the fourth game he will miss this season because he will not be starting. I would imagine he's not starting for the rest of the year. I don't understand this pity-patting around with the injury report concerning Derek Carr. There's no need for him. I mean, especially after this Sunday. Depending on the outcome of this Sunday, it doesn't make sense to have Derek Carr in there. It really don't make sense to have any of the starters in there. Let's evaluate some of this talent, but putting the carriage before the horse. But who's going to be the starting quarterback? We know when Derek Carr was out those 3 games earlier this season, Spencer Rattler got the nod, and I think did all right. I mean, was he ready for prime time? Maybe not, but he did the best he could. He's a rookie. What were they expecting? What was everybody expecting from Spencer Rattler? I don't know, but he did exactly what I thought he was going to do as the starter. He did the best he could. But this Sunday against Washington, making his first NFL start will be Jake Haener. Jake Haener, the 4th round pick back in 2023. Uh, he was listed as the backup, the number 2 on the depth chart for the last 13 weeks. Even though he didn't get the nod those 3 weeks Derek Carr was out. But he completed 14 of 29 for 177 yards and a touchdown. When he did play in relief appearances throughout the season, and he rushed for 18 yards as well on 7 carries. So he's done a little bit, when he did get his opportunities to get in the game. But I will say this: I'm excited for this because, like I said before, I've been saying since the exit of Dennis Allen, that we need to evaluate these young players that we have. And, uh, I'm not going to just throw the season away because the NFC South won't let us throw the season away because we are still in it. But this this needs to be addressed. We need to know where are we starting our rebuild from. No matter what happens at the end of the season, even if the Saints squeak into the playoffs miraculously, we still need a rebuild. We cannot continue to go on in the way that we are currently structured. So we need to find out, okay, we have these 2 quarterbacks on the roster. Do we need to look for another quarterback if these 2 aren't cutting it? Chris Olave, we don't know the future of Chris Olave with these concussions. Will he return? Will he decide to retire because of these concussions, or whatever the case may be? Do we need to address the wide receivers, and the defensive line needs to be addressed? The defense as the whole, honestly, needs to be addressed. There are a lot of areas where we need to focus our attention on, and we have young players who are either out there playing or on the bench that we need to get a real good look at. Training camp was training camp. Preseason was preseason, but to get in the actual NFL game that matters, that's when you get to see. It's trial by fire. And so these are the opportunities you need to take to look at these guys. So to have Jake Haener come in, start this game, try to lead this, practice with the ones all week. Let's see. Maybe Jake Haener is the guy. I mean, Spencer Rattler, he had got his shot. Now let's give us Jake Haener his shot. I did like Jake Haener last season, a little bit of this season, little flashes that we got. I like him. I like Spencer Rattler. I'm just a bigger fan of Spencer Rattler because I actually watched some of his games in college, and so I know what he's capable of. Jake Haener, I didn't know much of anything about him, but I did like what I saw. But I want to know, how can he lead this team? And now I get the opportunity, as well as you and the coaches and everybody else in the Who Dat Nation, get to see how he can handle this situation. So I'm excited. I know he is. Hopefully he can tamper some of that, contain it, and keep his head in the game this Sunday against the Commanders. So let's go over the stats so far this season, beginning with our season leaders. For the as far as passing is concerned, for the Washington Commanders is, of course, Jaden Daniels. He is 252 on 362 attempts, 2,819 yards passing, 15 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. Derek Carr is the Saints' leading passer, of course, 189 completions off of 279 attempts, 2,145 yards passing, 15 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. Leading rushers for both teams, we have for the Washington Commanders, Brian Robertson, 138 carries, 640 yards, 8 touchdowns this season. Of course, in the Who Dat Nation, it is Alvin Kamara, 223 carries, 938 yards rushing, and 6 touchdowns. This is hopefully he can get those 62 yards today oh, not today, but Sunday against the Commanders to give him his first 1,000-yard rushing season. And the reason I say that, he'll get it. Hopefully, he'll get it Sunday. We can sit him down after that. I just want him to get his 1,000, and he can he can sit down because I don't want to risk any major injuries or whatever throughout the rest of the season. So it's good to see that he is that close to that achievement in his career. Leading receivers for both teams, you have Terry McLaughlin for the Commanders, 61 receptions, 896 yards, and 9 touchdowns. For the Saints, it's Alvin Kamara. He's the leading receiver as well with 64 catches, 485 yards, and 1 touchdown. The season rankings, of course, the record for the New Orleans Saints, 5-8. Washington 8-5. For the Saints, scoring average, they are 17th in the league. Washington 4th in the league. Yikes. Opponent scoring average, Saints 14th in the league. Washington 17th. Total offense, Saints are 14th. Washington 5th. Rushing offense, Saints are 10th in the league. Washington 3rd. Passing offense, Saints are 19th in the lead. Washington is 18th in the lead. Total defense, Saints improved. Y'all know for the last couple of weeks, the Saints have been battling for 31st or 32nd back and forth. Well, they improved this week. They are 30th. It's still trash, but not as much stink on that trash as it was for the past couple of weeks. Saints are the 30th ranked defense in the league, whereas Washington is the 12th. Rushing defense, Saints are 25th, Washington 27th. Passing defense, Saints are 28th, Washington 5th. And it's only going to get better because they're going to have a shutdown corner to add to their passing defense. My God. Turnover margin, Saints are 13th with a +2. Washington is 9th with a +4. Moving over to our injury report for Sunday's matchup against the Washington Commanders. The Saints have one player that has been ruled out. And no, it's not Derek Carr. The one player that has been ruled out is DeMarco Jackson, linebacker. Derek Carr, on the other hand, he's doubtful. I don't understand that. Somebody got to make me understand that, because just say he's out. Why are we playing the games with the injury report with this dude? I don't get it. Alvin Kamara, he was sick all week. He didn't practice until Friday, where he was a full participant. He is expected to play for Sunday. Juwan Johnson, he got injured in a Giants game, his foot. He was limited the first 2 days of practice, but he was a full participant on Friday. Bud Means is also ruled out, wide receiver with that ankle injury. He was limited on Wednesday, but didn't practice the rest of the week. He was also ruled out. And Tano Passano, defensive lineman, he was out earlier on IR with that Achilles injury. He was a full participant all week, but he was designated as questionable for Sunday's game. The keys to victory. The keys to victory is pretty much a carbon copy all throughout this season when it comes to the Saints, especially this week with a first-time starter at quarterback, is the run game. You want to protect your young quarterback, inexperienced quarterback, you run the ball. And so Kendrick Miller looked pretty decent last week. Alvin Kamara looks amazing as always. Jamal Williams, we're gonna have to use him, man. We don't have Taysom Hill. We can't rely on that. We're gonna have to rely on these 3 running backs that a lot of teams don't have, and these are 3 good running backs. Use them. Run the ball. Do the extension of the run. Run your screen passes. Run your little bootlegs. Your little option passes. The wide receiver screens, the slants. short passing game. Don't worry about the deep pass. Don't worry about trying to hit them over the top and all this here. You work this run game. The top going to come off. That's when you attack. And I, let's just protect our quarterback. Defensively, as much as we need to run the ball, we need to stop Washington from running the ball. You just heard me say they are a top 5 team in running, one of the best run teams in the league. Got to contain the run, and a lot of that is Jalen Daniels. He will break loose as well. He is the most sacked quarterback in the league this season, and a lot of that is because when he breaks the run, sometimes he'll still be behind the line of scrimmage when he gets tackled. So it goes down as a sack, but he's really trying to run. And he's not the mobile quarterback in the vein of a Lamar Jackson, I would say. But if the play breaks down, he's gone. It's a quick decision by him. And we have to have a spy on him at all times. We cannot let Jaden Daniels run wild on the New Orleans Saints in the dome. That is not going to be a good outcome for the Saints. But my prediction for Sunday's matchup against the Washington Commanders, I think Washington wins. As much as the Saints are closer to probably pushing Tampa in this division, I think this is as close as we're going to get. It's rough the next 2 weeks because after this, then you have Green Bay. It's not an easy road. The easy path was earlier when we fumbled it away. And so, in regardless, this is just an insurmountable hill to climb. Saints are just riddled with injuries. We are a team that's just I don't know. Sometimes you question their effort at times, and they play down the competition. I mean, just look at what happened last week against the Giants. There's no reason the Saints should have struggled against the Giants. Now, going by the last time we saw this team, you really think that they're going to do any better against this Washington Commander team that is 3 times better than the Giants? I don't think so. And now, do I think the Saints will play up? Come with a little bit more aggression. I mean, the good thing is we're in the dome, so that's a plus. It's going to be a lot of emotion there because Marshawn Lattimore is returning, and yeah, that's going to be there. There's going to be some emotion there with Jake Hader starting as quarterback, and I want to touch in on that as well. This is going to tell us how the team is, because if the team come out there and respond better to Jake Hader, just like they did when Spencer Rattler came out. Do you remember the first couple of games when Spencer Rattler was in behind the driver's seat at quarterback? The team looked better. They looked different. They looked like they were having fun. It looks like, as per a Derek Carr team, when it looks like the rest of the team does not want to be there. They just do not want to play for this dude. Now, I could be reading it all wrong. It could be partially that I have a dislike for Derek Carr, and that's true. But I'm just looking at it from the perspective of me sitting on this lazy boy over there. It looks like that team didn't want to play for Derek Carr, and it's gonna show this Sunday. I'm gonna see how the team responds to Jake Hader. But will that give the team a jolt? Probably so. The addition of Darren Rizzi as the head coach gave the team a jolt. They play with a different fire. They come with some aggression, I should say. They play harder. They don't just get their butt kicked. I mean, they only lost 1 game under him, so they do play better when there's just a tweak of the team, a change of the team in some shape, form, or fashion. But I don't think it's going to be enough to take down the Washington Commanders. Now, with all that being said, it wouldn't shock me if the Saints won this game. I'm picking Washington to win, but it wouldn't shock me if the Saints won this game because this is Saints football. They know how to just throw off the psyche of everybody in the NFL circles in the Who Dat Nation. You know, they'll lose or almost lose to a Giants team and come out here and just demolish a playoff team as the caliber of the Washington Commanders. It been doing it for years. They've been doing it back in Jim Moore time. That's what they do. And so it wouldn't shock me. I just don't think it's going to happen. So, but we shall see this Sunday in the Caesar Superdome, 12 noon. The Saints take on the Washington Commanders. I would like to know your predictions for this Sunday's matchup against the Commanders. Email the show, kbradiopodcast@gmail.com. You can also search for the show on all social media platforms. Just search for the KB Radio Network. Also, subscribe to the KB Radio Network channel on YouTube and like this video if you don't mind, ladies and gentlemen. Don't forget about the 5 stars, the reviews, and sharing this show if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, wherever you are currently listening to the Dome Patrol podcast, your podcast for the New Orleans Saints here on the KB Radio Network. Everybody, thank you for joining me for this preview of the matchup between the Saints and the Commanders. Week 15 this Sunday in the Dome. Don't forget about after the game, we will have our recap and reaction of that matchup. Hopefully, it'll be a Saints victory. We shall see. We'll discuss after. Come check me out then. Until then, you can hear me screaming, "Who dat?"